All right, everybody. So now let's start with the next episode in CI/CD tutorial. And in this episode, we're going to be talking about the YAML markup language. So actually, for this episode, we don't really need the, the terminal right now. So I'll just expand this into a full screen for now. All right. So, what is YAML? YAML is an acronym that has a few names depending on who you work around. So I've heard it called yet another markup language, and sometimes it's also popularly known as YAML ain't a markup language, which is a recursive acronym, which is fun. And YAML is a type of language used to write text files, and it's mainly used for any program that needs configuration files. And you can kind of guess that in the context of this tutorial, this is what GitLab CI will be using in order to know what it needs to do when you initiate a CI. All right. So let's look at understanding YAML. Something to note is that there's no real like official convention uh, or like official standard used for spaces, and that's an important thing in YAML indentation. So you can typically we suggest, and it's common to use two spaces as the indentation level. You can use four spaces or tabs, but we're going to be uh, basically enforcing two spaces for the rest of this tutorial. So just keep that in mind that you have to be just for consistency. Okay, so the first things to look at in YAML is how do we define things in YAML, like in any programming language. So the first thing that we do is we define variables as a type of variable called scalars. And these can be any type of text or value or number or object that you give them, such like the integer digits, floating numbers, booleans, strings, hexadecimals, infinites, nulls, and dates. All of these are considered scalars basically because it's just a single object assigned to a key. So notice that you have this like key value pairing and it's one to one. So that makes it a scalar. Also notice, and this is very, very important, is that after each assignment of, there's a colon and then there's a space, at least one space. They need that space. That's very important. And it's a common mistake for the YAML parser to throw out an error when you don't have appropriate spacing. So keep that in mind. Also, something to note specifically with floating point numbers. Uh, YAML used to have an issue where, for the case of when you want to specify, let's say Python version 3.10, it could automatically convert that as 3.1 instead of 3.10. And then people would have issues using CIs that would compile or would run on incorrect versions of Python. So whenever you try to specify a floating point number and you mean it, you want to preserve that uh, those trailing zeros. Use strings. All right. Next up is lists and dictionaries. So basically, other than scalars, which are just one element things, one key value pairs, uh, you can also define a collection of things for every, let's say, key. So in this example here, we have a list of Jedis, Yoda, Qui-Gon Jinn, Obi-Wan, and Luke. And the second example below that, we have a dictionary where we have, for the field of one specific Jedi, we have some additional information about the specific Jedi. So we have the name, the home planet, the species, the master, and the height. So that would be an example of a dictionary. Notice that lists are defined by using this dash symbol and also the space. Again, dictionaries, there's a colon and a space. Okay, so spacing is quite important. And notice that the lists, the dashes are indented with 2 spaces with respect to the word Jedi. Similarly here, when you want to make a dictionary, 2 spaces in this example, and then the field that you want to add. And all of the elements have the same indentation level. Okay, you can also do this inline. You don't necessarily have to specify one line for one specific field or one specific element of a list. You can use inline syntax, and this is more similar to the JSON style because YAML is actually a superset of JSON. So if you understand how to write lists and dictionaries in JSON, YAML can understand those as well. There's also, in the case, this is mostly useful when you're writing scripts or multiple steps of commands that you want to be executed in the CI. So in the YAML, we have different ways to handle multi-line strings. So you don't necessarily have to just enumerate each individual step. You can write it as a block of string. And there are 2 operators that you can use to determine whether to keep the new lines, meaning exactly how you wrote it, or you can fold them in. So here's an example. So here we have folded no ending new line. So basically, if you want to run echo foo and then run echo bar and then only then run echo bass, where this will be interpreted as one line with the greater than minus or greater than dash here at the top, and that would be the first element of this list. The second element of this list would be here. If you use the pipe character, then this would be unfolded, and it will basically respect your spaces. So if you want to use the pipe, but have it interpret as a single line, then now you would have to add these backslashes so that it interprets them as part of the same command as a single line. That's what this is trying to do. So remember, this is folded and this is unfolded. You can also nest things within YAML fields. So say, for example, we have a request, and this is a list of 2 elements. The first element is just a string, but the second element of this list is actually a dictionary. Okay? YAML understands the pound symbol or the number symbol or the hashtag as the symbol for comments. So you can also write comments in YAML. Anchors. So anchors are a nice feature to have, which let you duplicate and move around content in your document. They look like C++ references, and they can be dereferenced using the asterisk. And this is an example of how that would be done. Okay, so, and that's basically all there is to it. Let's meet back again for the next episode.